we are back in New South Wales, Australia, to visit Strongbuild, one of our building partners, who's constructing an absolutely gorgeous looking house, incorporating our shielding in it. The last time we were here, the walls, the roof, everything was up, but the internals weren't, of course, finished. The shielding, the paint is now in place, but the Nova fabric isn't yet, so the shielding isn't quite finished. It'll be interesting to see what the home looks like now, and we'll definitely have to come back and see what the results are when it's all finished. It's interesting to kind of see this shielding and building develop over the last so many years. Ages ago, when people approached us to be involved with their build, they often want us to come on site to do a measurement, and then based on that measurement, for example, for radio frequency radiation, the decision would then be made whether or not to put shielding in place or not. There's a distinct trend now that people that approach us, it's good to do an on-site assessment for magnetic fields, but regardless of what the levels are for radio frequency radiation, let's just put it in, seems to be the feeling, because of course people are realizing that this stuff only ever gets worse. So even if it wasn't strictly speaking necessary right now, we're building now, we're not building 3 years from now, so let's just put it in, let's get it over with, and so if anything, we're future-proofing the house. So that's an interesting development. Anyway, I'm very keen to see what this build now looks like. Well, here we are. It doesn't disappoint. It's absolutely stunning in here. The woodwork looks so natural. Just had a chat with the painter. There's actually a very natural looking 2 coats of varnish on here, just to protect you from getting dirty and greasy fingers and all that sort of stuff. Here's one that's not yet been painted, and you can hardly tell the difference. It's not painted, that is varnished. Talk about an impressive ceiling. Okay, so here we approach the master bedroom. So the gorgeous look and feel to the room, of course, stunning view. But of course, what I'm much interested in is the shielding. Now, because we had this natural look on the outside, of course we don't want to overpaint that. To paint the back of the boards was going to be tricky as well. Well, not to paint them, but to ground them. And so what was decided on is to put an extra board behind these boards. So that wasn't meant to be there initially, but it only has a few millimeters. And so here down the bottom we can, for example, still see that these boards are behind there, and we've got the grounding tape running over it. You can see it's when you disturb it with your fingernail, and you get that little shininess, which is the graphite and the carbon, then becoming apparent. So of course we see this around the room. Then we've got the tape going to the power point, ready to be connected to ground by the electrician later. See, so we've got that applied throughout the room here. But of course we don't have the Nova fabric in place yet. So yeah, we'd have to see, of course, with the Nova in place, to see what it actually goes down to. But let's have a look. Let's have a measure and see what it is now. Okay, so standing here, not too close to the window, we're looking at about 120 microvolts, 200 microvolts. It varies a bit, of course. Now, if I move towards the window and expose more of myself to the glass, then of course that reading starts to go up again. We're looking at about 520. Now, interesting, if I, for example, because we've got the shielding and paint behind these boards, if I make myself small, again I'm looking at about 120. So that's already wonderful reading. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Nova in place. And so here where the bed would likely be, about 360. 40, can't tell, but anyway, looks like the shielding is working perfectly. Of course, we've got big holes in the shielding, so we'll have to see what happens when those are also addressed. 280, standing here, 300. It'll be interesting to take a couple of spots so we can come back here. We imagine the bed behind me when it's finished. 270, 300 microvolts. The other side of the bed. 230, 260. Alright, excellent. Let's have a look at the rest of the house. And so here we see that board that's been painted with the shielding paint. Alright, so it's sitting nicely behind the timber boards we've got here, maintaining that natural look. Okay, let's go and have a look in the guest room, parents' retreat. So that's where the living room area is, entranceway. And here we've got the parents' retreat or guest area. So this section here is not shielded. That's the daytime areas. So So we've concentrated on the bedrooms only in this project. And if we go here, the sleeping side, so to speak, we see that this down. So the side where the bed's going to be on is not yet covered with the pretty timbers on the top, so we can clearly see our shielding over here. And there's boards. Okay, and those same boards have been placed over here and underneath the ceiling. So we've got shielding everywhere, but we don't have to see paint on the outside of these boards. Okay, so let's have a look what we've got here. So without the Nova in place, we already have very low readings. Fair enough, we're a little bit further retreated into the property. That can help. That's very good. 17. The door opening is a little bit higher because I'm kind of more exposing myself to the side of the view, most likely the phone towers are. Okay, looks very good so far. We are in the upstairs bedrooms, two of them. These two share a wall, which is a partition which can be opened and closed. It's a very clever idea. And we didn't actually shield the wall in the middle, because if we shield the walls of the two bedrooms that are next to each other, we're basically creating one larger Faraday's cage, aren't we? So this wall in the middle isn't shielded, but these walls, as you can see, are. So if I have a look at what sort of numbers we're getting here. Here I'm standing close to the window. Look at that, 360, just over 400. If I go deeper into the room, 130. At 70. So yeah, it looks very promising. We're just missing that wall shielded in the windows on this side. Looking at around about 40 or 35 already, which is excellent. Here we're looking at 21. Okay, something interesting I can show you here as well. We've got these horizontal boards in place here, they've been shielded. We've got the tape running down the bottom. But because we've got separate panels, of course this panel also needs to be electrically connected to the other panel, so when it's all grounded it all connects. And so we've got the tape running here horizontally, and then here there's a T intersection, and we've taken the tape up to cross that seam there and onto the other panel. So now these two panels stay electrically connected as well. so nice to see that these numbers are looking very promising. Just now we need the Nova fabric in place, and then we've got the shielding against radio frequency radiation complete. All right, excellent. Here we are in the other bedrooms. Again, that separating wall between them that can be pulled in and pulled out. So again, this wall not shielded, but of course the outer walls of this room make a larger box by themselves. So if I stand close to the window, get relatively low readings here, 45, 50-ish. Now I am kind of standing behind the master bedroom, which has a metal roof on it. So I'm kind of in a barrier that forms its own barrier as well. So that could explain why these levels are lower. So if I go into the room, 14, 15 here, that's fantastic. Here a little bit higher, 26, still gorgeous. I mean, radiation does bounce around a little bit. So it's always a little bit hard to determine, or where you might expect a low reading, like in that nook over there, might not necessarily be true because the job isn't finished yet. We have a look over here. So 15, 16. So gorgeous low readings. Now it's nice to see that tradesmanship. How these guys build this. It's absolutely stunning to be in. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, well, that's the end of our little site visit for the time being. What the men and women tell me, they've got about 3 more months or so left to go. So it'll be interesting to see when it's all completed.